Yahoo! Prof here, and you may see I am all full of cat fur. And yes, that was a clean shirt within 2 hours and 50 minutes ago. She is Paisley Marie as why? Yeah, are you Paisley Marie? Do you know your name? So about at 2:30, she shows up mewing next to my chair, and then I don't pay attention. I get pawed. She hops up. So we stopped watching the WAN show and stopped playing Call of Duty. But we do need to get you guys the video for the day. Alright, guys and gals out there. I just tossed one over there. Previous video is the new Tactile Turn All-Star Seasonal Pen. Oh, the name of this almost came to my brain just now. And I also swapped the bolt, or not the bolt, the switch on my Tactile Turn switch. So now we got the stonewashed with the stainless steel. Much more confident in that holding up versus the brass or the bronze. I forget which it is. What do we have today? We have the Crescent knife. And you're like, why? Look at that profile right there. Look at that profile right there. What does that remind you of, people? What does that remind you of? Does it remind you of the OG? I don't even know if I have the OG around here. It's in the car, I think. Well, we can get as close as we can. Does it remind you of this guy? I'd have to get the original one to get that profile on the holder. I don't think I have the original in the house anywhere. I still need to get the Coast, because the Coast, if anybody wants to send some over so I can take a review of it, I'd appreciate it. Fuck, where is my... Here it is. So here's my G10 scale one. The Coast looks a lot more like this, but even more... The front is literally that on the Coast with like a fancier, crazier handle. But this guy looks like a beefed up... We'll have to use this one. This is the one I was using for... I ran that for a Geek Squad until I found the larger quick change one. That actually one of the tool channels, UK Shadow Foam, he pooped on the one that's like 10 or 15 bucks. I think this is a tenner, and the other one might be like, it's less than 15. Might be 12, 13 bucks. I gotta be careful because can't run over the kitten. Oh, and my mom put that, you're like, that looks really big for a dog or a cat bed. That's because it's a dog bed. And my mom put it there for Paisley because she was sleeping. You've seen her before over there on all my receipts and stuff. That begrudgingly got picked up because... But Gertrude took it. So maybe she'll get used to sleeping next to me when I'm at my desk, like this, so that I can move this bed upstairs when I get back in the office finally. Yeah, Paisley? Are you going to cat bed too? Yeah. Around here are like, it's not a small dog, medium dog likes large dog beds, and our cats like dog beds. So when I crack this open, the one thing I will say is this thing has got some heft. It is only a tenner, made in China. I like how they put this whole USA bullshit on there. Engineered. Designed, engineered, tested in China. Fabrique in China. Or in USA. Designed, engineered, tested USA. Because Crescent is a USA company. But most Crescent tools are no longer made in the USA. They have bought out other brands recently as well. I forget which ones they are. But a Wiss. I think Crescent owns a Wiss now. Because you'll see Wiss is now a line within Crescent rather than their own brand like they used to be. And you'll see literally the same tool that was a whisk tool is now a Crescent whisk tool. You'll see other lines that other brand stuff that used to be just that brand now branded Crescent, and it is literally the exact same tool. These are new though. I say these, I didn't buy the bigger one. Gosh darn, that is heavy for what this is supposed to be. From the picture, it looked smaller and closer. This, and maybe what got me was this sort of shape here, right? This guy is a, oh, it's not, that's some bullshit. You can't, there's no reason it needs to be this thick for a utility blade. Look at that. Look at that chonker. The other thing is, if you see this seam here, there was one review on Amazon that showed that this split down the middle because it's thicker and it just has these Torx screws and it's split right here. Now I don't know what they managed to do that. I will admit that is a nice quick change. Holds it really well too. That should be a button to flip it open and open it up. Anybody else agree with me? Why is this circular thing not... And you're like, what would that look like? I don't even know if I have a knife around here that would have something like that. Here, you can't tell me that if I had the original EAB, which I don't want to go out to my car to get, I would rather carry this, personally. Here's the other thing. The back of this is still wide open. I don't know why they did that. Even if they would have filled it in with this plastic here, which is acting as a blade stop, right? Or a blade overstop, I guess, because technically the blade stops there. Let's zoom on in. Right? This thing is... Here's my knife, the knife that I made from EAB. Big break-offable blade, stainless steel with some brass and titanium. This is heavier, this little thing. So I don't know what metal they made it out of. God, it actually kind of feels good too. Here's the issue though. It's front heavy. I like how oh, that's not good. So here's the hinge. Like, I say it's front heavy and then it keeps falling backwards. So, but it just behind the hinge, it's front heavy. So if you go anywhere past, I would want more mass back here. Some of you may disagree, but that's kind of, and I'm not even saying it's correct, but that's what a lot of people are used to. Let's grab here. We'll grab my Maverick tactile turn, tactile knife co. Maverick, like, you know, here, this guy, which is this is too big for EDC in a lot of states. Wisconsin's not one of them anymore. A lot of you are under 3 inches is the rule. That's why there's like a millimeter that's right on it. That is 2.9 ounces. Stainless steel EVE. This is the bigger one, not the revised one that has a clip. No clip here. 6.1 ounces on that. This fat guy. It's still just a liner lock. This should have a button right there, if you ask me. Okay, it's not as heavy as I thought. I felt like it was. It's what was it? 4.3. Yeah, 4.1. No, it's just a postage scale, so that 0.1 to 0.3 might be different. This in hand feels as heavy as this. Normally, and you've seen some videos where I am bang on what's heavier and lighter by feel. And sometimes it's a 2 gram difference. For some reason, how this is especially in this state where the weight is hanging off the front. This is very heavy. The one thing I will admit is with this piece being wider, I don't necessarily mind that. That feels nice and stable, like, you know, compared to this, which is very skinny and, you know, like it's not wide enough. Do you see how it kind of weeble wobbles there, right? So I do like that. I think a big improvement of this would have been close off this backside. So if we close this, just when holding it, it would be nicer than having this open, would be to fill it in, take this same orange metal or plastic, whatever it is, and fill in this back strap right here, right? That would also weight it more towards the hand. They did a decent job. I wanted to hate it because it was so heavy when it came in person, but take a look at this. Okay, you're holding it here. This is wider. It's much nicer, right? We're here with this. Do you see where this one with your longer finger is indented more, right? And that's effectively how they want you to use it, because you're never getting 3 fingies in there like that. That's so they effectively have 2 fingies like this, or if you're doing like this, look right there. It actually has decent ergonomics. For the weight though, can't believe it took a chip out of my. But like compared to this, we didn't weigh this. So what was it? Was the 4.1 ounces, right? This guy, maybe I did weigh it and I forgot already. It was 2.2. So it's literally half the weight for a Gerber EAB. Now, like I said, a Coast is one that looks identical to this that I'm interested. Here's the Chinese knockoff that's made out of also layered metal, but it actually has like a pretty decent, about a 6-pack of these. They used to be way cheaper before the tariffs. I think a 6-pack was like $22 or something. So now you have a nice knife everywhere, and that's 2.8 ounces. So it's a little bit heavier. You could tell it's a little bit bigger than the original EAB. It has this nice big handle here. That is something that a bunch of you actually reached out in the comments to me about, saying if you get a Allen, not a button head screw, I forget, but it's a castle head screw, something like that. Basically, it'll stick up, right? I don't know if I have any around here that are of that style. All my pens have switched to the newer ones. You'll get an older pen. Oh, wrong style. We got one of them around here. Come in. I got so many pens, right? Here we go. Here's Here's a plain old smooth titanium bolt. Love this thing. That's the kind of screw. So we get this kind of screw that sticks up like that. It'll fit in this hole, but it'll stick up, making it easier to flip open. So if you get here, and I think somebody even linked me or told me what you needed. So instead of like how I normally would open these, is you grab it by the top, and a lot of people aren't used to that because they're used to flipping a knife open. I don't know if you can do it, but like you can't. This guy, nope. That really holds it shut, but I kind of showed you with the Maverick. Oh, you can kind of do it. You gotta push. With this guy, you can just hold here and flick it open, rather than what most people are used to is sort of a whoosh, whoosh, like that sort of a guy. So if you get this kind of screw, an Allen head, like I said, I don't remember what kind that is, but you get the right kind, it'll stick out from the side here. Not really stick up that much, but enough for you to much more easily flick it out with your fingy. Oh yeah, I can grab my dark matter knife. Yeah, this guy don't keep sitting out. Look at that beauty. So traditionally, you just kind of take your, there you go, it's called thumb stud. All right, so you can kind of turn. The other thing, what that does is besides turning that into a thumb stud, it means you don't need, especially there are some that you can get that are textured on the outside, that have like grooves on them. Then you can unscrew it by hand. You don't need the, like, this is actually designed for a coin, like a penny or a nickel. Maybe not a nickel, probably a dime or a penny. And sometimes I actually, those get so tight you do have to use a screwdriver. The thing is flatheads, especially one designed for coins, are ass. And they why is the groove still up here? I don't know. But yeah, so that is a modification you can make to the EAB. I will say, like I said, this, especially on the EAB Lite, a little bit thin, kind of digs in your finger. Also, with how it's like kind of pointy here, means you're used to that little bit of pointing, which means if you slide your hand forward a little bit and start gripping here, and I actually have, I think I showed it off in an older video, a scar from doing that. And I put, because I was doing some cardboard, pushing real hard with too small of a knife, like sometimes a lightweight knife like that, you should get yourself something more substantial, you know, maybe not this one necessarily, but you know, like a bigger, like I have the Fiskars I went over, especially like the bigger handled Fiskars. That's much better for doing multiply corrugate. You don't call it cardboard, it's called corrugate. Corrugate. Don't call cardboard to the guys in the factory. They'll you give you a what for. I do find it interesting that the clip is backwards on here. So you would hold it like this way, like that, you know, like hinge up. Normally you would go hinge down because it's heavier that direction. You see how it like spun around real good? Whereas here, it's like, so I would have filled this in and maybe even made this piece lock into that grip portion, right? Like close off this back strap because that'll dig into your hand. Especially with this closed off all nice and this actually being a nice width, having that closed off would have looked way nicer, would have made it feel like a more premium product. So, and I can tell they tried putting the clip as far centered as they could, and they couldn't go any further because of this liner lock. Here, if you notice, that is right up against the liner lock area, so it's as much that way as they can get it. And I'm guessing they couldn't go up much more because it would start going over this lip right here. So like the design of having this circle here is part of the issue. It locks in real nice, but I would have much preferred if that was like, imagine if pop, instead of, imagine if you could push this and flick, right? That's much more than a $10 knife then, though, I feel. This is nice. I don't know if I would EDC this, though, because like it's fine. It's decent. That clip definitely is going to be awkward. Yeah. I'd have to rock it to see how... Normally you want that clip as close to centered as possible. And I imagine it caused issues with it being on the... Oh, I just noticed they beveled that liner lock a little bit. Yeah, it's both easier to press like this and better for wrapping your fingy around, you know. Up the front of this feels very confident, very competent. It's the back side that could have used, like this part, that could have used more work. Like I said, I would have liked to see that filled in. So the Crescent did come out with a line of new knives. Let's wake up my desktop and see if I can show you all here. in a second as it wakes up. Wakey, wakey, Mr. Desktop. I think I originally saw this at Home Depot. Was going to go and pick it up. They didn't have it in person. So I just ordered it on Slamazon. The old Slam with Amazon, you know. Shoe. Here is the other new one. This guy's new too. But so I got a couple of these Tradesman Harpoon Blade, Tradesman EDC. I say Harpoon Blade, Tradesman EDC. Yeah, you got this guy too. They have a whole line of knives. Kind of surprising. You see, these are Crescent Whis. I used a ton of those over time. I don't know that I would buy a. You got to think about any of these like utility brand $15 knives as just disposable, not disposable trash, but like, do we even bother sharpening them, sort of thing? And if you're going that cheap, I would probably go with that. It wasn't very ergonomic or very premium feeling, but if you want cheap and throwaway, get that D2 steel orange one from Walmart. You know, because we're going up from here, you can get a more premium knife for about $40. Yep, see, they even put the EAB in the related products. EAB and this guy, which I need to buy. This guy. I want the topographical one. See? I want that guy. But it's $14 for the topographic. This guy, I don't think it is at yeah, part of the reason why I want the topographical one too is, notice this is an original EAB with this black topographical. It is not an EAB Lite. That's why it's a little bit more money. The EAB Lite you can pick up for $10 to $12 at Walmart, I think. We had a whole video on that. Don't buy the Pry Bird. I hate that thing. I know some of you out there like it. It's as big as this. It's as big as this. You crazy. And this is exclusive too. See, it says exclusive. So I'll have to do a pickup because I don't want to pay for shipping on that thing. I don't know why it's scrolling me all the way down to the bottom of the page. So I thought these looked similar. That looks super thin. Not bad. This one, that's the one I had. This guy looks like a, I think I gave it to my mom. It was the, it looks very much like the, Milwaukee, like their knife, right? But the slim version, which I don't know that they make anymore. I forget what it was called. I should know because it's like Switchback or something. Here, let's look up Milwaukee. There you go, the Fastback. A lot of you get this Fastback 6-in-1 with the screwdriver on it. Please let me know if you're one of these people that does the screwdriver one. How often do you use that? Because if I am using a screwdriver enough that I would want it as an EDC, I just EDC a friggin' screwdriver. I don't know. Maybe I'm losing it. Let's do compact. They might not even have it anymore. I feel like the Fastback has gone down in quality over time too. There it is up top. Fastback compact. This guy is what this guy reminds me of. You see how thin this front head is with the 3 screws? This thing feels like ass compared to the normal fastback. Flicks out very inconsistent because this part of the head is actually wider than this part of the body. Not even like where this grip is here, but like this part of the body. So it's quite an awkward knife. It sticks out too when you flip it close. That's what this reminds me of. If you look here, these screws are bigger screws than on the fastback. Maybe they'll hold up better, right? But they make this part wider than this part, which makes it handle awkward. If that makes sense. Like, and with this little doodle sticking out here, that means you poke it through. You push that, and it goes whoosh. But yeah, that reminds me. See, it's like cheap and thin. I have to imagine that's where Crescent is going to run into issues, though. If you notice, that is a seam right down the middle as well. Whereas a lot of these other brands, even I don't have it near me. I thought I had Bob the box cutter. It has a milled side and a flat side. So does a lot of the Fiskars, which I really need to deburr. Because it's really sharp on that backside. So this seems to remove the sharpness because it's like too molded or pressed or something pieces. But apparently I've seen some things where people have had it split right down that seam. To me, this thing seems thin and long. The front of that. Maybe I'm wrong because I thought the guy that we got today was gonna be butts. You know, like this guy. I thought it looked very much like a EAB, like the original. Like if we go from there to there, especially if we go down and we click, yeah, see they're right next to each other right there. Let's do a 5x. There you go. You gotta admit those two look something similar, right? And how do you get so much more metal on the Crescent for so much cheaper is the question, right? Then this guy, they made it look like a Transformer Nerf gun knife. It's got a switch, a slide forward and back lock, it looks like, instead of like a button. I really don't understand. Like, you have the circular... Oh, that thing's thick. Holy jeez, that thing's got a badonkadonk on it. Oh, that switch actually might be for the back, like it flipping out this way. Like for the loading... There you go. Like for putting blades in, I'm guessing that switch is for that. Not for flipping it out. I would have to see it in person. This mechanism that they have, I would say, besides the Fiskars, this is probably one of the better ones I've seen. So I'll give it props there. This one you can see is thicker on one side than the other. That's to be more expected. That's how I would think they would design it. It does make the blade not centered, but to me it seems like a stronger design. That thing is beef though. It's thick, especially from that view. It's thick. I'm just surprising with, like, when you have that logo, that circular logo, that could very easily be a button. That, from this distance, if that didn't say Crescent, I would think that's a Craftsman as well. This one's also weird. For example, you got about 2/3, let's say 1/3, right? Like, it's too long, right? It's almost like they designed this for like a longer normal blade and then put a utility blade in it. At least that's the vibe I'm getting. This thing's that slide combo, that thing butts. The side slide, this guy. Thought I would like it. Nope. It's awkward. We have the normal slide one. You actually use that all the freaking time. This guy's great. That's like my mom's main knife for opening packages, breaking down cardboard, that sort of stuff. Very simple, very straightforward. Ours has a little push button here for replacing the blade. Oh, did they move it to the back side? Continuous holding down the quick change. Yeah, so on ours, I believe the button for quick change is right here. Not on the back side. But I'm guessing because your thumb's already on this side, people are hitting it or something when really going at it. Yeah, this guy's decent. It's actually metal, not plastic. I know it looks like plastic. We thought it was going to be plastic when we ordered it, and the whole thing was actually metal. This guy, the compact, to my knowledge, though, that's all plastic. Oh, nope, full metal body. So it's just like the other one. Interesting. Well, in my hand, in person, it's like you're missing half the knife. So if you need a good utility knife, just standard guy, not flippy, I actually recommend this one. And because the slider is on the side for the blade, you don't hit it. Like when it was on top, I would often, because you're pressing there with your thumb, like right there. So you'd slide it forward, and part of your hand would hit it. With it on the side, we never do. You're like, why does she use that? She's got her TUKK. Well, that I bought her a pink TUKK, you know, like this guy. Actually, more like my yellow one. But pink. Well, that's on her keys. Also, if you're breaking down cardboard boxes, these get tiring after a while. That's why they're making the TUKK. I call it the TUKK XXL. It's TUKK Stash, because you can put 2 blades in its butt. Imagine something twice as long as this. I think it'll be much nicer for breaking down boxes. You need a little bit extra length and leverage. So yeah, it seems competent, guys. I bought one. You saw it here. It is bulky for what it's trying to be. Like, it is trying to be a EAB from Gerber. I will admit, though, that this front grip here is more comfortable. The fact that it quick changes is nicer. The balance, though, is very front heavy, and it missing that back strapping. It just doesn't feel as nice. I feel like it could feel nicer if they just took the same orangey red color and filled, you know, like, it'd be down pretty far. They could fill that whole gap right there with that. And if you threw a couple screws in, I'm sure it would feel even sturdier. You know, or maybe even screw the clip in all the way through or something like they did here. You cannot quick open this. This is a two-handed open, for sure. So that would be another thing they gotta be careful of. Because of this shape, they've tried to make it as small as they can with that blade in there. So you can't even do something like this where you open against your leg, because you're gonna stab yourself. Because as soon as it leaves that body, it is too long. That's often, if you're wondering why, a lot of knives have squared off ends, or even ones that kind of go opposite direction of this. Instead of going this way, they go that way. Case in point. See? Knife. Go this way. So that when you lift the blade out, the tip isn't exposed the instant you move it. You actually have to get it out of the body, and then there's still, like, knife left on, like, you know, right here at this screw, there's still knife left, or handle left, to cover that exposed knife, right? So if you're holding it down here, you're not going to stab yourself. Whereas with this guy, if you were holding it here, all of this, the instant you move, it's hard to do. The instant you move out, because they're trying to make it more, quote unquote, more compact, right? The instant that comes up, even the slightest bit, it is exposed and will stabby. That is literally why normally you would angle it the other. So you would angle it so that the whole point of it, when it's retracting out past a certain point, like, you know, past this part here, at least that far, it's not sticking out, right? The lockup is pretty solid. It's a liner lock, so kind of always will be. This, like I said, that width there, because that's where you're really you're pulling up, kind of, right? And you're pushing down with that. So having that be twice as wide as the EAB probably is a nice addition. Does it fall out even when you pull it? Nope. You still gotta. That releases it. Oh, that's sharp. That's real sharp. Ow. Thank you, fingernail. You did your job as a fingernail. because it didn't actually hurt. Because it hit the fingernail, it just was catching it. Maybe I should use 2 hands for this sort of stuff. But yeah, so this is exactly why in a knife this is angled that way, and there's a like there's screw and length down there, right? See, woo, no problem. Whereas here, the instant that clears there, that's stabby. Stabby, right? This mechanism, quite like it. Can you insert without pulling it back? No, hits it. So my guess is what's happening is by you pulling this back, let me pull the blade out. I might be wrong, but what's probably happening is there's a peg in there, right? That hits, of course I got that all over my table now, that you're hitting right here. Yeah, you still gotta hold it back. Might even be both of them because it goes in there pretty far. But pulling it back lifts the peg up. Right, pulling this back here pulls that up. Or it's angled, right? So the peg is like shimmed like this way, right? So when you pull it away, it's or be angled this way. Like no, that one, yeah, that would make sense. And then as it goes this way, it gets longer, snaps in. Then you pull it this way, it gets thinner. Does that make sense? Locks in there damn good. I'm surprised that somebody split this, to be truthful, because that is some like chunky metal. Let's compare that to the EAB one more time. Even the Lite, I think, dealt with. Yeah, here. Watch. No blade sticking up, no blade sticking up, no blade sticking up, blade sticking up. That's why it's rounded like that. Not, they beveled that the wrong way to make it look smaller. I would have just squared it off, and yes, it would look even more like an EAB. But there's a reason why this extra bit of this handle is there, right? That is so. Look at that. Okay, it's already not poking out. So a little bit of movement doesn't stab you. Where this, even trying to open it, like put pressure here and open against my leg, instant stabbing. Here, look, instant stabbing. Like that should have been. There's a reason why on the EAB. Watch this. If we lined up this there, look, not exposed, not exposed, not exposed, not exposed. There we go. Look at that. So I think somebody designed this without, it actually does feel good in the hand like this too. I'll admit it. If that, they should have just rounded that off. And then they could have put the clip in. I don't know why they insisted putting the clip on this side. You could have used these 2 screws, or there would be 2 screws like that you could have used for the clip on the ass end here. And you could have centered it then, because this amount of metal would have been right over here, and you could have the clip going right down the middle. You also could have made it a wider clip, like the money clip on the Gerber. Something like that. That would have held much better. For $10, I don't think it's horrible. Build quality could be a little bit better. This is 2 different, it looks like 2 different, like the finish actually matches up pretty decent, but it looks like 2 different like types of metal. Like especially you can see it when they're open, when you have like the flat whatever over here, and then this sort of like molded chunkier bit. So what I want to see is, there was the reason why there was that rounded bit on the end of the Gerber, or we could do something like Tactile or many other knives where it's angled this way, right? And then you can flip this clip around. You know, because here's the other thing. If the clip's going this way, you hook it like this, right? You pull it out, it's like this. Imagine if that was a button. So like in this case, you're pulling out of your pocket or off your belt upside down, right? Then you have to flip it over. Or technically, wait, it'd be like either upside down or upside down like this. If you pull it out like this out of like a pocket or something, you just flip it like that and go. If it's on your belt like this, you actually have to like flip it over this way and then open. But remember, this currently is held, and it's a good thing they do have it held shut that well. Like there must be a detent or something. See how that really doesn't want to open? And that's important because the instant you open this, it's a dangerous cutting the fuck out of you weapon. So I guess I stabbed my leg a little bit through my pants. So it's not as bad in the ways I thought it would be. They're definitely going after the Gerber EAB, guaranteed. You saw in the original, it mirrors that quite a bit. I have to wonder if they angled the ass end this way because the front end is angled this way. You never know. The other way that you can tell that this is definitely inspired by the EAB is most knives would have exposed less of the blade. Right? Like they're exposing quite a bit there. They could have probably exposed even more if they wanted to. You know. But often the standard box cutter, which I would have to go and find one, will expose even, like it would have exposed that much. Right, like that. If it were like from a standard box cutter company, they would have. It's really just like the triangle, you know. And we can check here if this is halfway. I bet you this is more than halfway. No, it's not even halfway. Interesting. So is that a visual? Like an illusion, as some might say? Right? Because that's not even half of the blade. It's close. But here, we hold that right there. Maybe that is exactly 50%. Maybe. I think it's a touch shy. So let's compare it to something like TUKK. That is more. See? Now what if we double extend the TUKK? Still more. So maybe we do give it props. Visually, it looks like it has less blade exposed than it does, I feel. Because that's about as much as you get on a standard box cutter right there. Some people want actually less. This feels in hand like a plus 10% EAB, original EAB, not the EAB Lite. Here we can at least compare against the EAB Lite. You see there's more blade on an EAB, at least light. I think there's a little slightly less blade on a normal EAB, but that's what I'm like. See, you can kind of get where I'm coming from. Where this is like a 2/3, 1/3 as well. This is it feels like like I said, like a 10% expanded EAB. I feel like because they might, I don't want to say subpar materials, but like they used worse materials. That's why it's heavier. You know, because they needed more of it. It is molded, sort of. I don't know what you would call this kind of metal. It's not milled by any means. If you guys know the term for that, let me know down below in the comments. Whereas the EAB is like flat, kind of the same way this is, but maybe a little bit less crude, where it's sheets of metal put together, right? So I guess this is a bit more refined than the EAB would be. I would pay 2-3 times as much if they made that the lock, and they filled in that back strap. Maybe got us that little bit more blade, I don't know if you could though, because that grip, like I was showing you, this grip feels really good. Fix this ass end though. Like you got it angled the wrong way. Either angle it. If you saw with the Paisley, you're gonna knock my really expensive mouse off the desk. Holy shit! That bink you heard, that was Paisley rolling around on my keyboard and mouse, and nearly sending the XEV2 onto the floor. It just feels bulkier. Like this whole mechanism up here just feels bulkier than it needs to be. I do appreciate that more width though, but this being so wide and this being so skinny, that's the dichotomy that is kind of rough to get your head around, I guess. Does it say what this is? Yeah, compact utility. Maybe that is like metal. Quick change blade is indeed liner lock. I like how they used the lock logo for that. I don't know why you would do that. Slim ergonomic pocket clip keeps concealed when stored in pocket. I wouldn't put it in the pocket with how like if this opens at all, that's kind of like the point of that end on there. Like if it does manage to open, it's not gonna stab anybody. Whereas this guy, if it opens, it's stabbing people. Liner lock man secure in open position and easy closing action. It doesn't mention what it's made out of. Oh, we can check if it's magnetic. Sure, let's use the yellow guy. Magnetic. Yep, that's steel of some kind or some ferrous material. So you might be like, oh, that's on the blade. Nah, no, it ain't. That's on the screw. No. Okay. Definitely not stainless steel, which is what the EAB is. Still magnetic though. And yeah, you might be like, no, the EAB is not layers. You can see them here. 1 layer, 2 layer. There's a whole bunch there. And they just grind it so you can't tell. It is really simple. And there's some, I don't know if that's a rivet or a spot weld that holds it together. You know, and up here it's the same thing. It's easier to tell up there, see? There you go. 3 layers with one sandwiched in between. That's the layer of the blade. That's why you gotta really wrench it down because they made it thick to fit heavy duty blades. But I tend to use the, I definitely don't use these anymore. Those are the Irwin bimetals. Not that they're bad. It's just once the carbide blades started coming out, there wasn't much there's like still buying the Lennox ones, the Lennox Golds. That was even prior to the Irwin bimetals. Yeah, look at this. No stabby, no stabby, no so it can open that far accidentally without stabbing you, whereas this can open that far. Bet you if I put my finger up to that, it'd poke me. So do better there. If you square this off and you flip that clip around, the other thing is you could do a bit and like that backstrap that, like at a minimum, like square around this off, right? And then flip the clip around. You know, put on this end. You'll have plenty of material back there at that point, right? And fill this in with whatever material that is. And fill that flat. So your hand and shmoo and all that other stuff don't... Like, it just works so weird with this being solid and that being empty. It could use a little bit more weight in the hand, in my opinion. So, questions, comments, throw them down below. What do you guys think? I mean, like, Crescent has a whole new line. All of them look average at best. It's not like Fisker's line of knives, where they actually had some really cool innovations. And like, well, why'd you pick it then? Well, somebody else made another Gerber EAB effectively. Twice as heavy. Actually, probably for more regular use, feels better in the hand. You almost got to think that there's here. Look, you see all this length here? Like that's got to not be needed. That extra bit in front of that blade there. Like why not have it just be flush? Like why do we need that extra? What is that? An 1/8 inch probably in front of the blade there. You know. You can see where the screw is, so I feel like that could go. Is it doing? Yeah, see that's so worrisome. Is that you get it closed, and it doesn't actually close till it's all the way closed. That's just. This wouldn't be one that I give to your kid. You're like, oh, you have nice kids. Well, yeah, I had one, Boy Scouts and whatnot, you know. But this would be one where like you'd have to watch them and be careful with it. Like you couldn't just toss them. With my brother, who's however many years younger than me, like, yeah, open that box up. Here's a knife, you know. Because if you open that up wrong, even like say, watch this part of your hand here, that I just got poked. Right, like that. You know, so definitely got to be careful using it. Locks up really well. This part's better, nice and grippy. So had to check out another Gerber EAB copy. There are definitely things sort of. The width is nicer. The weight, I would say, is worse. I don't know if the way that they made it with the sort of like molded metal is better or not, because like I said, people have shown splits right down the top here. Never had a split on my Gerber EAB. Maybe that one was just manufactured poorly, or maybe these screws on the back came loose. You know, who knows? I do like this mechanism. It's nice and quick. That's a real big downside of the EAB is that you know, it's got that screw. There are definitely some improvements available here. Well, if you guys have a chance, check out in the description the links, because when you guys buy stuff, I get a little bit of kickback from Slam and Amazon. And what we need to eventually get is this guy. You guys want to see our Gerber EAB knockoff? That is copied from the EAB right there. And of course, you have to add a bottle opener because everything needs a bottle opener. But yeah, you can't tell me that bit right there is not stolen from the. You can see a little bump right there too. That bump is the same as the liner lock on the EAB. So, gotta check out all the EAB clones and copies. And maybe we'll see this one in the future. See you next one. Peace. Paisley Mary. Yeah, must you sleep on the mouse pad? It gets it all furry. It does. And then it's not smooth. You almost put this mouse on the floor too. That's my gaming mouse. Well, I got a gaming cat. No, you're not gonna move?